Revelation WoW. I have a lot of history with this server. This was the first server I ever covered on this channel. I've been playing it since the closed beta 3 years ago now. Now, there's a lot of things that have changed since then, both for me and my channel and for the server itself. A lot of ups, a lot of downs, but this video is just to be a 2.0 version of my very first video, what is Revelation WoW? Because that one was absolutely terrible and recorded with a phone. So this one is meant to be the new, up-to-date version of what is Revelation WoW. And while I tell you all of the various features that this server will have, I'm going to go ahead and play you some old footage of when I used to go through the various zones of the beta and the closed beta, as well as some screenshots from newer zones that we have not even seen yet in-game, even when it did launch. So you can get a little bit of a taste of how it's going to look, how it's going to feel, all while I tell you in the background what's going to be in the server. So let's go ahead and get to it. First things first, Revelation WoW is a fully custom experience. It's not quite Vanilla Plus, because Vanilla Plus server would be more like Turtle WoW, where you have the original vanilla gameplay and added content to go along with the more vanilla style. While this, yes, there will be some of the same vanilla quest lines and characters, the majority of this server is completely overhauled. The maps are almost like non-recognizable. Some of them are, at least with the terms of the layout of the map, but it looks nothing like how it used to back in the day. You have plenty of characters that have not been in Vanilla WoW that are coming back, that are in Vanilla WoW, but they're completely different in terms of they have a different storyline and all of that kind of neat stuff. Now, this will be run on a 3.3.5 Wrath of the Lich King client. However, even though it is a Wrath of the Lich King client and we are taking place in the old vanilla world, as in Kalimdor and Eastern Kingdoms, you are going to have completely new HD models for all of the creatures, player characters, as well as a lot of the placeables and textures of the map itself. We will be using a lot of Wrath of the Lich King client talent points and abilities. However, there will also be custom class changes as well, including a brand new up-and-coming custom class called the Necromancer. Now, I know what a lot of you are thinking. Isn't there already another server with the Necromancer class, not including Ascension? Yes, you're correct. That would be the Azeroth at War server, who also has a Necromancer class. Though, this one is trying to be a little bit different. While Azeroth at War is trying to make a Necromancer who is a tank or DPS, this server is trying to make a healer DPS. So you would heal with blood magic as opposed to tanking with bones. Now, I said before, a lot of the original quests are going to be the same, at least from what I remember in the beta, though there's going to be a ton of new custom quests to help feel more involved with the new changes of the current world, including custom lore. Now, the custom lore part will start from the very beginning, where you can choose a new custom starting zone to play from. Now, it used to be mandatory that you had to play through it and you would not get any experience from it. The entire purpose was to give you a taste of the story, as well as letting you choose your racial, which we'll get to that in a second. But a lot of people gave their feedback that they didn't like being forced to do this, myself included, and now it has been changed to become an optional starting zone. So you can completely skip it and you will not miss out on choosing your racial. You will still be able to do that in the original starting zones. You will just miss out on the story. However, it's not really mandatory to know that part in order to enjoy the full experience of the server. It is, again, now optional. Though going back to the racials, all of the races will be able to choose their active racial. Now, I'm not sure if this is including passive. At the time, it did not include the passive racials, only the active ones, such as I could be a Tauren to learn Shadow Meld, or you could be a Night Elf that learns War Stomp, or Berserking, or even Cannibalize. But including those, there are over 40 new racials to pick from, which sounds pretty cool, though I have not seen it in action, so I can't really say on how that would work in terms of how the new racials would work for each and individual race. And that's including the new races, the Tuskar and the Murloc, which are both new playable races with working armor. They were not really featured in the betas, so you're not going to see footage of them here, but they were available at the launch of Revelation WoW a couple years ago, so people did get to play with them. Another new thing of this server is you're going to be able to transmog your armor. So with all of the new armor types that we're going to be getting in, you can make yourself look however you want, granted you find the item ahead of time. But that's not all that's getting an update. Mounts are also going to be updated as well. From what I know, every single mount is going to have a special effect to your character, depending on the mount and the reputation that you get it from, such as Ogremar or Stormwind. Some of them will give you a damage reduction, some of them will make it less likely for you to be dazed while riding, and others might have a slow fall ability so you don't take damage when jumping while mounted. That sounds pretty cool and all, though I feel that could be abused, especially given that this is a PvP server, though we'll have to see how that works when the time comes. Now, another thing that I absolutely love, and I want other servers to do this idea too, I have actually offered this idea many times to other servers, but that is Elder Scrolls-esque factions to join. They are being named sub-factions on this server, which means you will have different groups or guilds or companies that will be hidden from you in the world for you to find, or they will seek you out. You can only join one of them, and by joining one, you might make another one an enemy to you, which will allow players and NPCs of that faction to attack you, which includes NPC assassins spawning at random times to try to hunt you down and kill you, or players getting a bounty quest to hunt you down, which is very similar to Elder Scrolls in terms of Morrowind, for example. Now, it didn't do this in Skyrim. In Skyrim, you can join all of the factions and you have no consequences. In Elder Scrolls Morrowind, if you joined, for example, the Rogue Guild, you could not join the Warrior Guild, and the Warrior Guild will now hate you. I don't remember if that's exactly how it worked, but the same functionality applies. If you talk about it in terms of Skyrim, the Assassin's Guild and the Thieves Guild are absolutely at odds with each other. The Thieves Guild hate murdering, and the Assassin's Guild murders. So, if you had joined the Assassin's Guild, you could not join the Thieves Guild. And yes, I know it's called Dark Brotherhood, I'm just making an example. Anyway, besides that, there are tons of new custom content for you to do, such as a possible carpentry perfection to chop and use lumber. Now, that was mentioned to be coming way back in the day in beta. I don't know if it's still in the works as of right now, but it gives you an idea that it's possible to see this carpentry profession or house building profession or something of that nature to come in the future, including using it for player housing. As far as I know, that is still in development to be able to have your own player house out in the world, though I don't know if it will be available at launch or not, though it is in the works as of right now. Now, the server itself is going to be a PvP-based server, with Ashenvale being a full-on PvP zone with PvP objectives. On top of that, you're going to have 200 and more PvP items just for the level 20 bracket alone, as the majority of the content will take place in the level 20, 40, and 60 bracket intervals. So, having that much just for the level 20 bracket, imagine for the 40 and the 60 bracket when we get to it. Now, going back to the zones, many zones of this server have changed. Some of them are very similar, like Mulgore. Mulgore has the exact same layout, but it has a lot more HD to the pine trees. There's little bits of snow on the ground, and even Thunder Bluff has been reworked to look like Thunder Totem from Legion. Meanwhile, you have the Barrens, which used to be a dry, dusty grassland, and is now a blooming, life-filled cherry blossom zone, with the southern end of it being more dead and desert. And then you have completely overhauled zones that are nothing like how it used to be, such as Tirisfal and Teldrassil, which you will recognize nothing of what is there, with the exception of maybe the level 1 to 5 starting areas. And on top of that, they're going to be adding in zones that were introduced later on, such as Uldum, though it will be changed as well. The landmass will be implemented, but the areas and various textures will be completely replaced to fit this server. And of course, you're going to have removed zones or completely overhauled zones in terms of the Swamp of Sorrows being completely gone. Swamp of Sorrows, Blasted Lands, that whole bottom eastern half of the Eastern Kingdoms is completely gone to make way for a brand new zone called the Great Desert, which would be the size of like 3 or 4 zones. Now, we couldn't go into it in the beta, however, I was a hunter, so I used Eagle Eye to look out into the desert, and it is just nothing but sand. You have crystals and various like relics hanging around, so it looked very interesting, and it turns that they are working on it now, so we should see it at least by the next beta or when it opens up. The cities have also been overhauled, from Orgrimmar to Stormwind. I already mentioned Thunderbluff looking more like Thunder Totem. I'll give you a little bit of that now. Now, something I did not like about the cities is that it was a little too big. I understand you want to make it feel like an actual city, like from The Witcher, where you could just get yourself lost into it, but that led to a problem of actually getting lost, and it wasn't really the getting lost part. It was that even if you know exactly where you are and where you need to go, it just took a very long time to traverse the city. In my various videos where I would walk around the major cities such as Orgrimmar and Stormwind, it took me a literal 40 minutes to an hour to walk the perimeter and just look at everything while walking non-stop. So yeah, if it takes 40 minutes just to run the perimeter of the city, that's pretty massive. But you're also going to have new cities introduced, such as the brand new Rocket Zan. Now, that was not in the beta, and I don't know exactly where it is, but given the name, it is probably going to be in Teneris to replace Gadget Zan, or it'll be somewhere else where goblins are very prevalent. So, I don't know exactly as to the location, but we can be sure that it is a goblin-neutral city for all of us to enjoy. Now, I'm going to go back to something I said at the very beginning of this video. This server has had a troubled development. Now, the betas were absolutely great. It had developed a massive hype. The trailers got everybody interested and peeked in, especially that this was starting to be the downfall of classic WoW, where people were just like, this is absolute shit. And people wanted something brand new. So seeing this got a lot of people interested. And like I said, the betas ran fine. Sure, there were bugs, but they were fixed on the spot most of the time, or at least within a day or two of finding these massive bugs. I was in the closed beta and both of the open betas, so I can attest to that. However, even with all of that stuff happening and it being great, the launch was absolutely terrible. The launch had at least 3 launches, all of them failing, either from terrible coding to an overwhelming population, even to when you finally got in, you know, having the level cap be capped at level 20, it reduced a lot of the available content, including the PvP, because you were not even allowed to go into the unfinished zones, therefore Horde and Alliance could not connect to each other. And we can pin all of this on one person in particular, who is the key bad feature of this server back in the day. However, I am glad to report that this key player has been removed from the development team and is no longer going to be a part of this server. And ever since the announcement of his departure, you can see a massive change in the way that the developmental team, including the community, have revitalized. Everyone is now back in. Those who had left returned, and you can see that the development has completely hit breakneck speed, and they are getting on this. They know exactly what to do, and they are no longer being held back by somebody's hubris. They are now currently working on the level 20 to 40 zones, and we should be seeing this playable at least as a beta version by the end of the year. So I can't wait to see what all of the new content available will be when we see the beta. Now we don't know when the beta is, though I can estimate probably about end of the year, though that's just my estimation. Don't go off that. But anyway, that's everything that I have to bring to you about the new features, new everything about Revelation WoW. So I hope you enjoyed my What is Revelation WoW video. There's a lot of stuff that is very exciting about this server. A lot of things that we've never seen before from another private server. I know some private servers, such as Duskhaven 2.0, are trying to do this sort of thing, but out of all of the, fun or custom servers, this one is definitely the most, out there, most overhauled zone that is not really just trying to be a fun server. So I have always been hyped about this server. I really liked playing it in the beta. It was just that one issued developer that a lot of people had issues with, including myself, and now that they're gone, this is a brand new start for Revelation WoW. It is the revelation of Revelation WoW, you know what I mean? So with all that being said, I can't wait to see where this server goes, you know what I mean? So if you want to see more news, updates, development, anything on this server, streaming it, anything, or live streaming it rather, then be sure to subscribe, like this video. I'm keeping a close eye on this server. I am in the Discord again, because I'm no longer banned, and I will be bringing you all of the cool videos showcasing everything off in the days to come. So until then, I'll see you later.